What do you love about Chicago?
You got great architecture, you got great food, you got great music. Every neighborhood is different because immigrants settled at different times, and so you can be in Pilsen and think you're in Mexico. You can be on Devon Avenue and think you're in India. You can be in Greektown and think you're in Greece. So you can travel the world without leaving Chicago.
You're listening to Notes from Chicago with Ashley Phillips. Hi, friends. Welcome to the latest episode of Notes from Chicago. Today, I am very excited because we have the founder of an amazing organization in Chicago, My Block, My Hood, My City. Please welcome Jahmal Cole. Jahmal, thanks for being here today.
Ashley, thank you for having me. Thank you for everything. And you look like Trinity from the X-Men. And you look like Uma Thurman from Fifth Element. But anyway, good to see you. I'm trying to get in shape like you.
Okay, thanks so much. I will take all those as compliments and hair inspiration. When we started even thinking about this podcast, you've been on my interview list for the beginning.
Cool.
So I'm very excited that you're here. But when I talk to friends, they'll say things like, "Jahmal's great." I'm like, "Oh, do you know him?" And they're like, "No," but like I know the work, I know this, and even my son, who's 12. Said I was watching something on Instagram. I was like, "Oh, what are you looking at?" And I said, "I'm going to be interviewing this person this week." And he looked at it and he's like, "Jahmal?" And I'm like, "How do you know who that is?" And he said that in class, I don't know which talk, but like I'm sure there's several talks on YouTube from you, but that they watched a talk in class about your work and about My Block, My City, My Hood, and that work that you're doing there. So I think you've achieved at least people listening to you.
Oh,
you made it. You made it. So that's great. But I do think that like there is something. It's both about the mission, but then also about you and the way you're carrying yourself and the way you're talking about things that certainly resonates with people. They get excited about it.
It's God, man. I'm telling you, Ashley, and I got a great team. I got Obama fellows that are on my team. I got people that are walking in their purpose in youth development. People that are way smarter than me as far as business. I don't even want any. Like I honestly I'm blessed. I'm blessed, and I wake up every day grateful and definitely curious, and I'm going to continue walking down this path, and I want this organization to be around like the Red Cross.
That's awesome. Let's start talking about My Block, My Hood, My City. I think I first heard about this organization maybe 5 or 6 years ago, but you've been working on this since 2015, correct?
Yeah, I started organizing before that, but I got my nonprofit in 2013 and 501c3 in 2015. But yeah, it's called My Block, My Hood, My City. We're like the Red Cross of the Hood. And just like I forget the guy's name, there was a war happening and there was people dying and people, losing limbs, and he heard them screaming outside and all this stuff was going on. He was like, "Man, like this is messed up. I don't care what side you on. I'm not about to have people in my backyard dying and little kids needing help or hungry. I'm about to go feed them." So he got his friends to go volunteer. He got his hospital's friends to come help out. And anyways, that organization was the Red Cross, and they got like a $6 billion budget nowadays, and that was hundreds of years ago. But it was a Henry Dunant, I believe his name was, and he was an ordinary guy that saw something in his backyard and tried to help. And I just love how ordinary people can do extraordinary things. And so I'm an ordinary volunteer that just tried to help out at Cook County Jail in 2013 and help out shoveling the snow. And now I have the responsibility of having a organization that I call the Red Cross of the Hood, humbly, and we want to be around for hundreds of years, just like Henry Dunant.
So the Red Cross does a lot, and your organization does a lot. What are the types of things that My Block, My Hood, My City does?
Well, that's the thing, is that if there's a snowstorm, we shovel snow for elders. If there's a heat wave, we deliver water and box fans to elders. If a tornado happens in Rogers Park, we mobilize volunteers to pick up, trees and debris. If a meteor hit Chicago tomorrow, we're gonna, sweep meteor dust up. During COVID, we had teenagers call hospitals. Like we our it's almost like I'm the founder and executive director, and my tactics change based upon what's happening in the. I have to pivot like Jordan in the finals, so whatever's going on, and we've been able to operationalize those tactics or that change by having volunteers and having donors and let us know who needs the support. But at the end of the day, like we do youth development and community engagement work, but what I love about running a nonprofit is that every day is different, and every day there's a challenge that you're going to have to breathe, take in, and then really just do your best to help out with. So.
Let's go back. You kind of referenced this, but to how the organization got started, and what prompted you to like, and I think it probably started with that work in juvenile detention centers, and like kind of what gave you the seed.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I watched the movie Malcolm X so many times growing up. I thought Denzel Washington was Malcolm X, you know what I mean? And my mom, she was a Jehovah's Witness, and so she had me going to church 4 times a week and knocking on doors on Saturdays. And so I was doing community organizing already early by knocking on doors. And my dad played all these activists. So before I even knew it, I was already like a speaker and a community organizer already. And I had a faith-based conscience. So I knew I wanted to be like Malcolm X and speak in front of currency exchanges and speak at beauty supply stores. I didn't know what I'd speak about yet, but I knew I wanted people to think I was smart, and I knew I wanted people to scream for me, and I wanted them to like, yes, teach me, blah blah blah. And so that was my direction. And so when I graduated college, I just started volunteering at Cook County Jail, thinking I was going to give these great speeches. The next thing you know, nobody wanted to hear me speak. It was like they didn't. Who is this dude in this suit? Take off that suit. And so I started wearing my hoodies out of depression. Like, you guys ain't listening to me. I'm just gonna wear hoodies and Jordans. And then people start listening to me, and I was like, what the hell? And all they were talking about was my block is this and my hood is that. And I'd be like, why do y'all always say my block and my hood? Why don't y'all ever say my city? And that's when I realized that they had never traveled outside their neighborhood or their block, and their whole worldview was shaped by Inglewood or Roseland or Chatham or wherever. And I wanted to start a field trip program where we can look out the window and see the Sears Tower, the Hancock, the Aon Center. I want to take you guys out of this jail and expose y'all to jobs down there. It was that simple.
When you first started doing that, like for those first groups of kids, what were their reactions once you took them downtown, or you exposed them to different things?
They were scared. They were like, I'm scared to go inside of a glass building. If you've never been in, it sounds weird to me and people like me and you, but if you've never been in a big skyscraper before, you've never been in an elevator that don't have no buttons, it's scary, And so they never waved for a taxi before. They see Lake Michigan and they say, what ocean is that? You know what I mean? It's like it's a fish out of water experience. And just ask yourself, when was the last time you've ever been downtown Chicago without any money in your pocket, right? And what do you think it's like for a teenager to go downtown without money in their pocket? Best city in the world, we just talked about the architecture and infrastructure, but they can't do anything because they don't have any money. And so, and they also feel like they're not welcome with all the curfew laws, and we can get into that later. But anyways, that's how they felt, like disconnected. And I wanted them to know that just like these architects built these buildings from the ground up, you guys can be the architects of your own destiny as well. So.
And how has it started as like these field trips? How has that changed or evolved over the years? That's been going on now for 10, 11 years.
Yeah, I mean that's exactly what I said, that we're not really mission locked. And because when I was just wearing my hoodie out to shovel snow, they're like, oh, my block, my city has a snow shoveling program. Like, I'm just hanging holiday lights on my next door neighbor's home. They're like, oh, my block, my city is doing holiday lights. And so I've always felt overwhelmed. Like God, why would you put all this on my shoulder? I don't know how to answer these questions with COVID. I don't know how to answer, small businesses going out of business in my community. But that's God's given me a lot of curiosity, humility, and my vulnerability is the bridge. And so I use whatever I can to get volunteers together to help. And so it's evolved because I've never started. Someone saw me taking teenagers downtown and said that I was in New Boy Scouts. And I was like, what is that? They're like, yeah, you got a nonprofit. I was like, what's a nonprofit? I was just taking kids from jail because I saw Malcolm X volunteering at jail. I didn't go there to start a nonprofit. I just wanted to speak, and I just started listening more and learning. So this whole life has been like a trial and error thing for me. It hasn't been like I haven't set out to do one thing and said, yes, I've got to. No, I've keep on putting myself in situations where I feel uncomfortable and and growing. So
So a newer thing, or like something that you started doing last year, is Live 77.
yeah, live.
Live 77.
Close. That's cool.
Talk to me, explain what that is and what you're trying to do.
I was gonna go to like school for community psychology, but it was too expensive. So I was like, you know what, man, the communities are my classrooms and the people are the professors and the exams or whatever they're doing, I can volunteer with. So really it's a 77-month listening tour where I'm living in each Chicago community for a month at a time, trying to understand more of the stories, the solutions from people with like, or the strengths from folks that have the lived experience of living in that community. And so basically I am building relationships. I'm actually getting a lot of data. I give everybody these 5-minute surveys that have asked us questions about what are the skills of people in the neighborhood, what are the challenges, what are the strengths, what are the assets, not the deficits, what are the local institutions, what are the businesses, and I also again build relationships, and I just hear the stories directly from the people, and so it's about building trust and building a roadmap to impact that's going to last for decades. I want to help people better by living in these communities, and so if you want to be the Red Cross of the hood, you gotta, when you walk to someone's liquor store or their laundromat or their alley or their library, when you've been there, you care more. You just when you drive through it, you sympathetically care more if you've been there. And after 3 weeks to a month, when you don't have to use GPS and you've lived there before and you've met with the alderman, you met with the lady that started the farmers market, you met with the chamber of commerce, you met with residents, you had a beer in a local pub, you kind of like you ain't, it's going to stamp into your life. And so I don't know what I'm doing. I just know that God told me to go in these communities and be humble, and I'm hoping that he reveals more. But that's I can sound like I know what I'm doing, but honestly it's this is month 12. Month 1 I was in South Shore, month 2 I was in Pullman, month 3 I was in Uptown, month 4 I was in Humboldt Park, month 5 I was in Rogers Park, month 6 I was in Portage Park, month 7 I was in Chicago Lawn, month 8 I was in North Lawndale, month 9 I was in Brighton Park, month 10 I was in Hegewisch, and month 11 I am in Chinatown. So I think I forgot it somewhere in there, but yeah, this is month 12.
Yeah, but you're going all over
Yes,
this.
77 months. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
What are people's reactions? What are residents' reactions when when they hear about this project, and you talk with them about it?
They always want to know, why are you running for office? I'm like, well, it's not really it's not a campaign, it's a
Yeah.
commitment. So that sounds campaigny, but yeah, I do think I'm gonna run for office one day. I want to, at least, but every time I say something like that, God has a way of like humbling me, and so I want to help people better. I want my organization to be around for 100 years. I want us to have real relationships with people in communities, and this is the best way for me to learn, is to actually live there. Um, when I lived in North Lawndale for a month, I established a good relationship with the Young Men's Educational Network, and we just did an MLK event for a week ago for MLK Day. We passed out food to residents that had their SNAP benefits cut off. So that's an example of when I'm living in communities, building real relationships, how we can help better, because I have I have that trust built already, and that's a roadmap for impact that I want people to follow. So.
When you think about who Live 77 is for, do you think about, is it to inform like more work that your organization will do? Is it for, is it to empower the residents? Is it for people outside those communities,
Yeah.
to help people who aren't living in those communities learn about those neighborhoods?
All of that, yeah, especially the last part. But it's like we know Chicago is really segregated, and I think all of those stereotypes kind of break down when you just have a kitchen table with some discussion with somebody. You don't matter what color or gender, religion, opinion, ethnicity, occupations. Like when you sit down and talk to somebody and break bread with them, you realize they're just people trying to raise their family the best they can. They're just trying to run their small business the best they can. They're just trying to make their block, safer. And so there's 77 different communities, but there's really one Chicago and 77 different ways to be proud of inside of it. So that's what I'm seeing.
Do you have a favorite that you've lived in so far?
I love that people ask that question. Yeah, I think that um, I want to be honest. Like, not gonna sound right because I don't. Portage Park. I'm just gonna say right now. I hate to say it because
Wow. Okay.
Chatham is where that's where I'm from. I love Chatham, so I can't say that Chatham is not. But Portage Park, I can't explain it. I like trees. I like nature. I like walking around. It was peaceful, and I felt inspired to walk around Portage Park every morning. Man, I just felt it's too far. By the way, I don't like driving way down Lakeshore every morning to get to. It's like driving to Africa. But as far as like when I lived there, I really felt at peace. And you can't buy peace. Whatever you find that, you got to really acknowledge that. So there's something about that area. I just went there yesterday morning and gave a speech at a high school, Horizon Science Belmont. But yeah, Portage Park. In the summertime, I really liked getting up and walking to the gym, walking through the park. That was very peaceful for me. I liked it.
Were you surprised? Did you
Yeah,
expect that before you moved?
I knew it was a Polish community. I can't read anything in the Polish newspaper. I can't read anything in the grocery stores. I don't even know if I liked Polish food. But it wasn't because of the food. It wasn't because any particular person I met. It wasn't Chicago. It was just I enjoy living next to a park and being able to walk through it. And I think that is that's really good for my psyche. Even in Humble Park, I like walking through Humble Park or jogging through in the morning. For some reason, just being a part of nature and getting outside and is I like that part. So,
How many, like, I think about, again, kind of reflecting back on where you started and, all of the, like, you have so much programming now and different ways that people can get involved. Do you know how many volunteers you have now?
those those that know wouldn't say, and those who say don't know. I'm just joking. Malcolm X said that. I always wanted to say that. So, yeah, I don't. I've heard a number recently that was like 4,000 volunteers. You know,
Wow.
so I know that the other day when it was a polar vortex, we were able to shovel 95 homes within 2 hours. So,
Wow.
I think that we're even. I'm just so appreciative of that one volunteer that comes out. Now I appreciate that till two comes out, and I'm gonna be out there myself demonstrating it. So yeah, it's thousands of volunteers. We got a small army of volunteers, and we're just getting started actually. So
Talk to me about the neighborhood tours that you do.
yeah, so that's our youth led. We call them community walks, and so in North Lawndale, that's our youth summer job. So we work with 150 students between the ages of 14 and 19, and in the summer, about 20 to 30 of those youth they give tours of North Lawndale, of their neighborhood, and it's like we've been doing it for 5, 7 years now. But they take you, hey, here's my high school, here's the artful intersection, well, the murals that I like, or my friend that got killed, it's the mural. Here's the they make the best hoagies in Chicago at this gas station, like in the back. It's called Sal's, or here's this is what it means to me. And so people can take these 2 hour walking tours. They start at the Green Tomato, which is a community cafe in North Lawndale, and they walk around for about 2 hours. They show you community gardens, they show you old churches, they show you murals. It's a tour, but it's led through the eyes of the youth, who are the biggest stakeholders in the neighborhood. And even police officers take the tours now as cadets, so they can learn more about neighborhoods. But it's called the Youth Led Community Walk Program, and it's we want to expand it to different communities. But again, it's in North Lawndale right now.
What do you think it does for the kids who give the tours?
They take pride in their neighborhood. When you first meet them as freshmen, they can't look you in the eye and say, "My name is Jahmal Cole. I'm from North Lawndale." But by doing a youth-led tour a few summers, now they're standing up straight, talking about Dr. King lived here when he was in North Lawndale in 1966 as a part of the Chicago Freedom Movement, and they advocated for housing discrimination, racial discrimination, and they wanted to prove that racism was systemic and it wasn't just on. It's like they can do that, and I think that makes a lot of difference on college applications and also just interviews and just leadership skills.
You referenced this before, but kind of this idea that, um, kids in Chicago, or some kids in Chicago certainly don't feel welcome in the city, in their own city. And you mentioned you mentioned the curfews, and there are, there's certainly other reasons for that. So why don't, can you talk about that a little bit more?
Yeah, there's a curfew now that's blocking kids from coming downtown. I don't think it passed, but the whole idea passed. And basically, kids feel like they're not wanted, and they feel like downtown is you know, in a different world. But downtown belongs to everybody, And so it's the city of Chicago could. I feel like there's the babies in a river analogy where the guy's walking down by the Chicago River and he sees the baby drowning in the river. He runs, jumps in the river, pulls the baby out, saves the baby's life, looks over his shoulder, sees another baby, runs to the river, grabs the baby, saves another baby's life. This happens 2 or 3 times. He looks at his friend and says, Ashley, come on. What are you doing standing on the bank? Come help me jump in the river. Help me get these babies out the river, Ashley. And Ashley's like, no, Jamal, I'm not jumping in the river with you. I'm going to go upstream to see who's throwing the babies in the river, right? Well, in this analogy, the city of Chicago really isn't trying to pull any babies out of the river. They're not even trying to prevent teenagers from drowning in the river. They're just trying to reroute the whole river through downtown with these not in my backyard type ordinances.
Yeah.
And at organizations like My Block, My Hood, My City, we're going upstream every week to make sure we're preventing teenagers from picking up guns, preventing teenagers from being in gangs. So we believe exposure is violence prevention, and not intervention, but primary prevention. So keep kids out the river is what we do. So I think that that's what I mean by kids feel like they're not welcome downtown. They feel like they can't afford to be downtown. They feel like it might as well be in another country. What ocean is that? I told you that's what they say. So
Yeah.
but downtown belongs to everybody, and we're trying to change that through our downtown day, where we take over 1,000 kids downtown every July. This year is July 25th, and they all get $50 to explore downtown Chicago and do whatever they like to do. We work with the Magnificent Mile Association, the Chicago Loop Alliance, the Broadway in Chicago. We opened up downtown for all the kids, and they love it. And this is going to be year 4 of Downtown Day, this July 25th.
Very cool. Exposure as violence prevention is an interesting idea. If you can like go into a little more detail, could you talk a little bit more about that, and also like kind of how you have this idea, but like how you've seen it play out?
Yeah. If you show kids better, they do better. That's just if you don't know any better, you can't do any better. If you've never seen a white person before in your whole life, it's gonna be a fish out of water experience when you go to college in Nebraska. Like me, I just got through into Wayne, Nebraska. It was different. But the whole world doesn't look like Chatham on the south side of Chicago. But also, if all you ever been exposed to is rapping and basketball, if those are the only career, you don't see success in different forms. You don't know you can be a Microsoft engineer. There's 15 currency exchanges in your neighborhood and there's no banks. So if you ask a kid what's a job at a bank, they don't even know. They've never been to one until you take them and show them there's all these different jobs. And so when I say exposure is violence prevention, I mean yeah, I mean just that. I mean if you show kids better, they'll do better. And kids right now, they've been to 15 funerals by the time they're in ninth grade. You know what I mean? They walk around, they can't even look over. They're hopeless, right? They need exposure to mentors. It's not even where you take them; it's who's taking them.
Yeah.
It's like hanging out with you, Ashley. We can go to a museum, but just to ride in the car with you and hearing how'd you get to where you're at, and they need that exposure, and it's it's simple. It's not easy, but it's simple. But exposure is violence prevention, and it works. Our even just if you just look at the time. I mean, we pick kids up at 3 o'clock from school and drop them back off at 9 o'clock. That time they're with an adult. That's saving lives. Like even if you just take it on principle of that, but it's so much more because their siblings see them going on trips. Their siblings see them wearing a hoodie. They become leaders in the school. So it's a ripple effect that happens when you start exposing kids to things.
If people want to get involved, how can they do that?
Buy a hoodie. Go to our website, formarblock.org. All the
Yeah.
hoodie sales go towards the org. Make a donation. If you work at a business or you want to expose kids to a different field, you can host 10 of our students. And so we're all about finding partner organizations that want to host, donate, volunteer, sign up to volunteer. Just hit us up, formarblock.org. Follow us on social media. We have a hoodie ball coming up in April. I believe it's April 18th, and it's in West Loop. So you can go to our website, formarblock.org, and sign up for our hoodie ball. It's our annual fundraiser. Wear your favorite hoodie, wear your favorite team slogan, and 1,000 people wearing different hoodies. It's pretty cool. So.
Very cool. So the last question I'll ask you, which is also something we ask everyone, when people come visit or people come in from town or from out of town, where are the places that you tell them they have to go in Chicago?
Now, I love Chinatown, where I'm staying at now, the new Chinatown versus the old Chinatown. I mean, there's so many different restaurants and things to do here, but it's like living in China. I also like tell people to go to, Pilsen. You can go to the Mexican Cultural Museum, the DeSalvo Museum. Obviously on the South Side, I tell people to go there. I always tell them to go to Captain Hard Times in Chatham on 79th and King to get the chicken and waffles there. We got the best chicken and waffles in the city. Josephine's is what it's called. Um, yeah, Chicago is not really a city of like franchises. It's more like a mom and pop shop type place. So I always tell people to go support the local mom and pop shops when they come to Chicago.
Love it. I'm actually gonna circle back and ask you about the neighborhood you grew up in. Todd, tell me about Chatham. What do you want people to know about Chatham?
I didn't grow up there. I moved there when I was like 24. Like I grew up in a lot of places, but Waukegan, Illinois is where I'm from. Like I lived in Waukegan until I was 9, and then I moved to Fort Worth, Texas until I was 11 and a half, 12. And then I moved back to Waukegan, then I moved to Kenosha, Wisconsin until I was 18. Then I went to college in Nebraska until I was 22. And then I moved to Chicago, Chatham when I was 23. It's a lot of block clubs, a lot of small groups of people that are working towards if there's a speed bump. We don't want the new speed bumps. We want the old speed bump. Or we want our alley cleaned. We don't want the fluorescent lights. We want the LED lights. Or, there's a drug house in our block. We want to get this house out. I grew up, like, Chatham raised me to be a community organizer, to work with people to solve local issues, and to speak with pride about like Chatham represents the state of mind. And that state of mind is pride, purpose, progress, and that place raised me. But it's you go to Chatham, you see manicured lawns, brick bungalows, a lot of Victorian, a lot of ranch style homes. It's like 90% African American. It's just it's like Cosby land. You would say it's like Cosby land if you go through, like, wow, this is like Evanston, but it's actually Chatham, and people have a lot of pride in block clubs. That's kind of like that's the community that raised me. So.
Love it. All right. Jamal, thanks so much for joining us today. This was a great conversation, and I really appreciate you taking the time.
All right, Ashley, you look like Trinity or Matrix. I'm telling you.
Thanks.
Have a good day.
Thank you for listening to Notes from Chicago. This podcast is edited and produced by Tanisha Blakely. Be sure to like, follow, and subscribe to Notes from Chicago on YouTube and wherever you listen to podcasts.